Society of the Snow by Pablo Vierci. The narrative begins with a palpable sense of both awe and dread. It is March 2006, and a group is making a perilous journey on horseback, high into the Andes Mountains. Their destination, the Valley of Tears, a desolate, glacial landscape where in 1972, a plane carrying a Uruguayan rugby team, their friends and family crashed. This expedition isn't just a sightseeing trip, it's a pilgrimage, a return to a place of unimaginable suffering and improbable survival. Among the group are 4 men who know this valley intimately, for they lived and almost died here 34 years ago. Roberto Canessa, his medical training tested to its limits in the aftermath of the crash, walks with a quiet determination. He's introspective, constantly analyzing the events of 1972, seeking to understand the human capacity for endurance and the emergence of a unique, compassionate society within the frozen wreckage. Gustavo Zerbino, impulsive and bold, is haunted by vivid memories. For him, this journey is like stepping back into the broken fuselage of the Fairchild F-571. Adolfo Fito Strauch, ever pragmatic and calm, observes the landscape with a keen eye, his mind replaying the agonizing decisions and desperate measures that were necessary for survival. Ramon Moncho Sabella, introspective and deeply affected by the ordeal, carries the weight of the past, his thoughts filled with the friends who didn't make it back. Alongside them is Juan Pedro Nicola, who lost both his parents in the crash. He is now bringing his own son, a tangible link to the future, to the place where his parents' lives ended, a poignant demonstration of the passage of time and the enduring power of family. The scene shifts dramatically, plunging the reader into the chaos and terror of October 13, 1972. Gustavo Zerbino, a young medical student, experiences the crash with a horrifying clarity. He recounts the plane striking the mountain, the tearing metal, the sudden, freezing cold. He describes the instinctive, almost animalistic urge to help, to free those trapped, to do something in the face of overwhelming devastation. He and Roberto Canessa, also a medical student, work tirelessly, using their limited knowledge and whatever materials they can find to tend to the injured. Roberto Canessa's perspective is analytical, almost detached, as he describes the survivors as subjects in a cruel, involuntary experiment. He sees the cold, the lack of oxygen, the starvation as variables in a twisted equation, the outcome of which is uncertain. Yet within this detached observation, a deep humanity emerges. He speaks of the Society of the Snow, a community forged in the crucible of extreme adversity. He details the pact, the agonizing decision to consume the flesh of the dead to survive. It was a decision, he explains, born not of savagery, but of a desperate will to live, a pact of mutual self-sacrifice. He describes the act as a leap into the void, a step beyond the boundaries of normal human experience, a descent into a level of debasement he never thought possible. Yet paradoxically, this act also reveals a profound nobility, a willingness to give everything, even one's own body, so that others might have a chance. José Luis Coche Inciarde's narrative is one of physical and emotional decline. He describes his decision to die on Christmas Eve, a quiet surrender to the relentless suffering. He details his battle with a gangrenous leg, an injury he operates on himself with a razor blade, a stark demonstration of the brutal realities they faced. He talks of the moment when he heard of Nando Parrado and Roberto Canessa's success, a moment of disbelief followed by overwhelming joy, a resurrection from the brink of death. He also captures the jarring transition back to civilization, the sounds of the city, the simple comfort of a hospital bed, the lingering disconnect from a world that couldn't possibly comprehend what they had endured. Eduardo Strauch, a cousin to Adolfo, provides a perspective of quiet leadership and resilience. He recounts the night of the avalanche, a horrifying experience that buried many alive. He describes the desperate, frantic digging to free survivors, the heartbreaking loss of more friends, and the renewed sense of determination that emerged from the tragedy. He emphasizes that the society created in the snow was one where human qualities shined brighter than ever before, where everyone considered others before themselves. Eduardo talks about the spiritual awakening he experienced, a feeling of connection to something larger than himself, a sense of peace found in the midst of unimaginable suffering. Daniel Fernandez, another of the Strauch cousins, focuses on the practical challenges of survival and the difficult task of reintegrating into society. He describes the meticulous rationing of food, the constant search for ways to improve their chances, and the emergence of a unique, unspoken code of conduct within the group. He recounts the moment of hearing the news of the rescue, the disbelief, the overwhelming joy, and the subsequent shock of returning to a world that felt alien and overwhelming. Adolfo Fito Strauch, a man of quiet strength and deep introspection, details the agonizing decision to eat the flesh of the dead. He describes the inner turmoil, the moral struggle, and the eventual acceptance of this act as a necessary means of survival. He speaks of the pact of mutual self-surrender, a testament to the extraordinary bonds forged in the face of death. He emphasizes the importance of honesty and truth, even when the truth is painful and difficult to bear. Moncho Sabella, one of the youngest survivors, recounts his initial fear and distrust of the others, his gradual integration into the group, and the profound lessons he learned about human nature. He describes the haunting experience of dying during the avalanche, a moment of peaceful surrender followed by a desperate fight to live. He reflects on the humility and generosity that emerged within the group and the enduring bond forged in the crucible of shared suffering. The narrative takes us through Nando Parrado's relentless drive to escape. He describes the physical and emotional toll of the ordeal, the loss of his mother and sister, and the unwavering determination to return to his father. He recounts the final, desperate expedition across the mountains, the grueling climb, the crushing realization that the peaks stretched endlessly in every direction. His perspective is one of raw, unyielding will, a refusal to surrender even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Roy Harley, a young man emotionally scarred by the loss of his friends, describes his near-death experience after being exposed to the elements. He speaks of his role in repairing the plane's radio, a futile effort that, ironically, contributed to their eventual rescue by allowing them to hear that the search had been called off. He describes the unique society that emerged, the shared suffering, the unspoken bonds, and the overwhelming desire to protect and care for one another. Javier Methel, significantly older than the majority of the group, and traveling with his beloved wife Liliana, reflects on their conversations and the comfort she brought to the entire group. He carries the grief of losing her and the resolve to honor her memory. The climax of the story is the appearance of Sergio Catalan, the Chilean muleteer, a man of the mountains, simple, compassionate, and deeply human. He becomes the lifeline, the connection to the outside world, the embodiment of hope. The description of Nando throwing the note across the river, the frantic communication, the agonizing wait, all build to a crescendo of tension and anticipation. The rescue itself is described with a mixture of joy, disbelief, and lingering trauma. The survivors describe the overwhelming sensory overload of returning to civilization, the noise, the smells, the abundance of food, the sheer normalcy of it all. They grapple with the awkwardness of reintegration, the inability of the outside world to fully comprehend their experience, and the enduring bond that ties them together. The narrative then moves beyond the immediate aftermath, exploring the long-term impact of the ordeal on the survivors. It describes their struggles to readjust to normal life, the psychological scars, the enduring questions, and the profound sense of gratitude for having been given a second chance. The final section of the summary emphasizes the enduring legacy of the Andes tragedy. It explores the themes of survival, resilience, the power of the human spirit, and the importance of human connection. It highlights the unique society that emerged in the Valley of Tears, a society based on love, compassion, and a shared will to live. It suggests that, while the ordeal was marked by unimaginable suffering, it also revealed the extraordinary capacity of human beings to endure, to adapt, and to find hope in the darkest of circumstances. The survivors, though forever marked by their experience, emerged not as victims, but as testaments to the enduring power of the human spirit. The closing image of the survivors' children and grandchildren gathered together years later underscores the enduring legacy of life, a legacy born from the ashes of tragedy. The Society of the Snow may have been temporary, but its lessons, its bonds, and its impact on the world continue to resonate. If you enjoyed this book breakdown, please consider liking this video and subscribing to get notified when we post our next book.